force, because he's a master of healing on an archetypal spiritual level.
Okay. Let's look at some of the other work you were doing as a child. You also started doing self-portraiture at a very early age.
Yeah.
What prompted that?
Looking at Rembrandt.
Okay.
And so Rembrandt really early on had been, really interested in the grimace and the, making funny faces in the mirror, and then trying to capture that in a very spontaneous way.
Had you seen any Rembrandt in person, or was this strictly from books?
Time Life series.
Okay.
The World of Rembrandt. Oh my God! It's like artists are a world, and so there are whole pieces of my brain that are Rembrandt, that nobody else is there, or Beethoven. If there weren't a Beethoven, then there wouldn't be a whole area in your brain that's Beethoven. So artists like Blake, they map a world, the visionaries, and they map a world. And so it's the subject of the self, and I think that that's my primary subject. What's the nature of the self, and what, or how, and how is whatever is perceiving at the source of perception. How is it doing that?
Were you taking art classes in high school or junior high school during this period?
Not so much. My father had inspired me to draw, and and then I just kept looking at the old masters and feeling like that I was really an artist, but I didn't know how to really do that, being out in Ohio and stuff. So, but
did you have a museum to visit at all?
Well, there was the Columbus Museum of Fine Arts there, and the art schools at that time were all into minimalism and stuff. And so it was the 70s, and the painting was dead in terms of the way that Art Forum felt about it.
That was the catchphrase at that time.
Yes,
painting's
right.
dead.
Yeah. So you started feeling like a necrophile if you were interested in painting. That's why this whole issue of working with the dead and things has always been of interest to me. Because it runs as a theme. Most painters know that the medium of painting is not the primary medium of the culture, It's a rather dinosaur-like thing to be doing in a world of the maelstrom of media that's out there. But I tend to think of painting as the still small voice of conscience in the mind of the culture, as opposed to the shrill corporate culture that we deal with on a daily basis. So it's perhaps a soul preservative in some ways, and so people afford art a tremendous respect, kind of really odd for grease smeared over pieces of cloth, for people to really care that much about it. But it's because it has to do with the soul and something very intangible. And so the self here, these reflections, I think that was the beginning of an interest in what is the nature of the self.
Did you study yourself in the mirror or from photographs?
No, those are all from the mirror. Yeah.
And now it's almost as if a cubist composition has entered into your world there.
Yeah, it does look a little cubist. It's also kind of melty in a way that, this is 71, this is kind of like the height of the wave of psychedelia post prohibition, and so it had a little bit of a reflection of a psychedelic type of appearance for someone who had never taken psychedelics, but my friends had in
and of course by this time the beginnings of the psychedelic style that we associate